Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Tuesday, September 16th, 2025 edition. We're doing single stocks today, some new all-time highs for many different names. Let's get into it. Let's take a look. The market continued to do its thing today. Let's get into the doc here, and we'll look at some specific names, some really amazing high flyers. And there's actually some new entries that are in our parameters now for year-over-year leaders, some crazy movers. We'll take a look at the end. You'll get some ideas. Today, Rocket Lab down a big 12%. I mean, it's a very volatile name, so 12% is just a day for Rocket Lab, but it is a big move lower. We'll look at the chart and see if it's an opportunity. You know, we've been loving the name. It's a year-over-year leader. Baidu, a big jump today. These Chinese stocks continue to go. Baidu with a big 8% jump. We'll see if there's opportunity there. And new all-time highs for, take a breath here, Google, Ionq. The cloud computing space has absolutely been on fire. There was a breakout. I will call myself out on it. I said maybe these computing stocks start to digest their gains a little bit, and the breakout doesn't happen for a little while. Was wrong on that, and Ionq has led the way today. New all-time highs. Uber, thank you. We had a viewer suggestion yesterday asking about Uber, and I said it was going to go higher. It did tap its new all-time highs today. It did reverse and close down 1%, but it did go to new all-time highs, trying to still reach that 100 number. Bloom Energy, we'll take a look at that chart. Taiwan Semi, new all-time highs. Western Digital, AppLovin, Lam Research, and JP Morgan. So you got tech there, communications, transportation, semis, financials, a little bit of everything. Markets are rocking and they're rolling. Let's take a look at the tail, as it were. Let me go to the panel here. Hope everyone's doing marvelous. Again, just a programming note, I will do tomorrow's ETF show, and then I will be back the following Monday. Should be the 29th. So I'll do an S&P thing for tomorrow as well, and we'll take a look today. Tesla up 3%. Stock looks amazing. Honestly, you already know, we're talking about that 330 level going back at least a month, 2 months. Important. And then with the momentum of the just a beta overall working in the market to the upside, the mag complex, and obviously Tesla's in that. This thing has a lot of things working, and of course doesn't hurt when your CEO buys $1 billion worth of stock. Nvidia gave back at 1.6%. Stock still looks very fine. Oracle, we'll take a look at this chart. It was your leader, I believe, in the stock market over the past 5 days. Absolutely astronomical, just amazing run. This thing's up 83% year to date. We'll just look at the past 5 days, but this thing's up. We were also looking at that gap and seeing if it was going to be filled. We'll see how close it came. Amazon up 1, Meta up nearly 2%, Microsoft was down 1.2, Broadcom down 1.1, Robinhood up 2.25%. Thing looks absolutely amazing, and Baba up 2.5%. United Healthcare really just at stasis, really now at that 340 level. It doesn't look as bad as it did, but like everything else, probably goes upwards, but healthcare is still struggling. Intraday tape really fast here as we go into the SPY. So here was the opening. They sold off there and really kind of subdued trading all day. We closed down just about 50 bips. Let me see this here. My computer is lagging. Apologies. Un momento, por favor. So as you can see, hold on the blocks. Yeah, so VWAP on the daily here was 660, spot 16. We did close above it by the end of the day, but really, as you can see here on the daily, each bar here is 30 minutes. We never even got above 50 RSI for the open. So today, there were just more sellers than buyers in the market in aggregate. And we'll see how it represented itself in individual stocks. We're looking at some high flyers. Okay, I think now my screen is all up. Okay, so as I zoom out here, again, nothing really crazy. I've been saying, and a lot of people now, I woke up, or I've been reading JP Morgan, as well as many technical analysts and traders on Twitter and X and FinTwit and LinkedIn and all that stuff saying, prepare for a 2%-ish drop this week. It's baked in. I have a technical reason for it, and I've been saying it. And we have a catalyst like the Fed, but something tells me we get to 648, like I said, over the next 2-ish weeks or so. There's a lot of information that says, it's going to happen with the Fed. Also, new all-time highs today, we got to 660, 264. That was rejected. They sold it down $2 from there. And the highest the RSI got today was 69. So not amazing, not the same type of fervor you had here going into a 640 level in SPY. So a little bit different here. Obviously, things look stellar for the year, but I do think, as I said, you will get a tag of 648 in the SPY somewhere through the end of September. All right, let us get into some of these, and that's really all I have to say about it in terms of levels. If things get, really ugly on itself, I don't imagine it to be. Probably around that 635 level, and the buyers will step in. And in terms of the upside, which is what people are wondering, I mean, I just have to keep on pulling it, honestly. A couple of points. We've been saying 653, 655, and now here we are at 660. I got to 662 and then denied. The market's not ready for it right now. We'll see what Powell says. But maybe 665, but really we're getting, long in the tooth for right now. I still have a 6,900 year-end projection. But for right now, it's just getting a little bit tired. This move has really been one way. When we saw this hammer last thing on this September 2nd, right around that Labor Day period, you saw the hammer. We got to 635 in SPY. VWAP that day was 638.5. And then we closed at 640 high of day. Right there was a big day for investors saying, wait a second, we're going to step in. The market is worth more than this. And that was the tag under the 21-day exponential, and it hasn't happened since. And it's been a straightaway train. Honestly, since that low that day, 635, I'll call it what the value really was that day, 639. I'm rounding. It's been a straightaway shot, and that's just in the near term to today at 660. So that was just a really nice 14-day run. And you know how we do things in cycles, typically right around 15 days, 18-ish if you're really like a stallion or a younger kind of area like a crypto. But right now, like in a mature market with a kind of extended here, I'm just still looking at a major catalyst like the Fed. 648 looks like it's going to happen soon. All right, let's get to some of these crazy moves. We'll go up first as we usually do. Baidu, a big move here. I know a lot of people are, I don't even know how, but they're just waking up to the Chinese equity market. We were talking about this at the start of the year, and it still looks great. And now it has a breakout. That is a unbelievable breakout. Up 8% today is Baidu. Overbought 86 RSI. That's absolutely astounding. This thing has been really over 68 RSI since September the 5th. And that's when spot was 90, or call it $100. And now here we are at 124. That's absolutely amazing. Baidu is a $40 billion company on $18 billion revenues. Like I said, this thing is just super extended. I'm not going to personally chase it here. I would personally love an entry closer to about 103 if that gap gets filled. Almost all do. So I would like to pull back to that 20-day exponential right at 103 even. I like to participate there. There's probably better looking names, more attractive than this in China, like right now for an opportunity. But look at the green days since August 28th, all green except 2. And that was a down 17 bips day and a down 80 bip day. So it was strictly digestion periods, and we're still resuming that 86 RSI. So that's absolutely astounding. Congrats. Monster move today in Baidu, up 8%. I think it's a little bit toppy here. I personally wouldn't want to chase it above 110, to be honest. But they did take it high today, 125 basically. They sold it off, and then they closed at 123.72. Geez, a lot of exuberance. Stock really did nothing, honestly, nothing until this breakout above $94 just recently, September 2nd. So it could have some legs, but really did nothing since she announced the stimulus last October, and now it's back at that level, just above. So amazing to see Baidu, an absolute star performer in China right now. The next big move, energy had a big bid today. We're going to look at Oxy, ExxonMobil had a big name too, a big move too, rather. So this is Oxy, Warren Buffett's baby. I think he still owns quite a bit of it. This peaked last October at 56.5, and now just an ugly chart. I've not loved energy, but every squirrel gets a nut. So this should be no different. Right, let's say Oxy is a $45 billion company on $27 billion revenue. This does have a 2.1% yield. I think if you're patient, this actually does not look too bad. The 200-day moving average is still going down by about 2 cents a day. You have had about above 40. It's really this turnaround really started August 25th, August 26th when it started closing above $46. And now, as long as we can hold above 45.5, it's a decent sign. Today was a big move, though, so it did it all in one chunk, 5%. I think it has a decent 2 weeks. I think this has some zigs and zags, and it'll probably frustrate like it has been. But I do think this tries to get to just a little bit higher to about 48.5. I think it fills this gap from this big 11% drop back in April. I do think it tries to fill that gap over the next 2-ish weeks. Had a really nice rally here. That was a really, really solid move from 42 all the way to 48, and now digestion down to 42. What you want to see, that 50% Fibo in that retracement, and then now it's right back up. A big day today for Oxy, though, no doubt. Every close above 45.5 is great. I would love to see at least a week of that, plus hold at least a 50 RSI. And if that moving average starts to stabilize, this thing's going higher at least to, as I said, $48 and over time. It probably wants to target that $53 area later. All right, and then Novo Nordisk. This is the thing used to be all the rage when people were just getting shot for weight loss, and this thing has looked really ugly. As you hear, just less Ozempic and stuff in the news. This is a $250 billion company that was Novo Nordisk. It's not just their only product is that, the fat stuff. There's a lot, and they have $45 billion in revenues. This is a 3.1% dividend yield, but the chart looks absolutely like crap. The peak in this was literally a year ago, so you just go furthest back, and it was $129. And look where we are now, $57. It hit all the way down to $45 on August 6th, and here we are at $57. I think this has today a nice day, up almost 3%. I mean, we were talking down. What is that? A lot more percent. 3% is not so amazing, but a nice day today. This has probably a decent, I don't want to say decent, but a dead cat bounce continuing. Understand that this was just at $53 trying to base there last week. I think this probably has a little bit more to go. I don't think it targets 74. It would need, trial news, amazing kind of animal spirits in that regard to catch to that. But I do think this probably gets to 59, so a little bit more. So if you're in it, probably has a little bit more to go. It has gotten tired at this point in the RSI since June, where that was a local peak. I don't think it's making a run for that. 74s, please. Maybe a little bit more to go. Probably enjoys the next 2 weeks, but volatile, zigs and zags, and probably near 60 tops. All right, let's look at the one loser. We're looking at multiple standard deviation movers, and there's really only one with my parameters of at least $20 share price and 10 million shares traded, and that takes us to Rocket Lab. Rocket Lab down 12.5%, but this is off all-time highs yesterday. This thing touched $55, and they really hit eject on this just for the day, down 12.5%. A quick move right down to the 21-day exponential is an opportunity. What gives? So this is still absolutely amazing. I mean, the run it's had, I would not personally chase this here. A better entry for me is more of kind of the level itself is decent. I like your risk. Let me back up. I like the risk reward at about 46 even. So I still want it to come down about $1.50 or so. But I want this to kind of correct in terms of time. And it was just peaking yesterday. And the RSI was kind of gross there too. It got to 67. But I wanted to see higher when it peaked prior at 88. So it looked to me like that was going to fall. And as we said, I just see it's like Motel 6 lights flashing. When that happens and you get out Bollinger Band and you get a rejection from the top, I can, in my head, I see a move to the red line, no matter kind of what the index is or what the name is. Names like this, it does it in a day. Other names it does it in, weeks, sometimes months. But still holding RSI at 50. It's 52. I would give this a little bit of time. I know it's in a decent space too, but I would give this about a week and a half. Revisit this maybe end of next week, and hopefully you get around a 46 handle, and then you can get in what is an absolute fire winner. That being said, though, if you're taking an opportunity today and you say, hey, this is too good to be true. This was 55 yesterday, and today it touched 47. They sold it off, and they closed it near the lows. I don't think it's the worst entry, but this is volatile. You could get 40. Like I said, 44 to 46. I love it a lot more there with that target still being what I'm looking for in October, to be frank, at $55. So this still looks absolutely great. If you have a ticker or something, put it in. It's stock edition today, so let's get crazy. Okay, top 3 gainers of the past 5 days. I was incorrect on this one. We thought the computing stocks were going to take a little bit of time. The Ionq disagreed with me all the way to a new all-time high. We've loved the stock. This thing, what can you say? Today up 5%, and it's been up 42% in the past 5 days, average of almost 8% a day. Absolutely stellar. I personally would not want to chase it here. What I liked was, I'm trying to see my note here, August 25th. Okay, so I just recently, August 25th, I said to get in at around $43, up to $43. The stock was at the highest, it was 40. So I said you can even chase it up to 43. It went as high as 43, and I got a strict ceiling there. And just recently, around the 10th, about 6 days ago, I said that this computing stocks might take some time, and that was the wrong call. I just imagined the Pong energy going back and forth, back and forth. I thought it was going to take a little bit more time, but this was ramping, and this decided it was enough time, and they started getting overbought indicators and a nice surge in volume, and that's all you needed to get this breakout above 49. We kept on pointing out that level above 49. Once it breaks above 49, it is going to go. So you could have disobeyed your system also, and then seen when it got to on the 12th, not disobeyed your system, but obviously adjusted. When you saw on the 12th and you said, wait a second, VWAP this day is 53. We're going to close above 49. That looks like it's held. That wasn't going to be a short-term thing. Personally, now for the next 2 weeks, I would not chase this. All that being said, I would revisit this. I think it gets to $44 to $46. I think it gets this prior level. I know it sounds absolutely crazy when we saw on Ethereum and other things. I just see what the chart does, and when you get a 12% move in something like Rocket Labs, it can happen in Ionq as well. Although I know Ionq is a $15 billion company. That being said, I wouldn't chase it here. I still see it move towards about 46, 47 in the next 2-ish weeks. But congratulations, new all-time highs for Ionq. Absolutely incredible. All $50 million revenue. This thing is basically a pre-profit company, is Ionq, all the way to $16 billion all-time highs. Congrats if you wrote it up. 42% this past 5 days. Number 2, that's the best stock in the entire market, is Ionq. Case closed. The past week. Number 2 is Bloom Energy, also to a new all-time high here. This thing has been absolutely insane since that news back in July when it was up 23%, and kind of similar in terms of that breakout. The level was 49 for Ionq. For Bloom, it's 30, and a lot of things worked right here. You got the breakout above 30, and you started it's almost the same picture. You got overbought characteristics here, beginning at 75, and what? A surge in volume. And then the curl in the 200-day moving average after coiled spring tight band. So very similar breakout, different volatility, obviously. Bloom Energy, let me get the market cap info on this thing now, as it's added so much. This is also a $15 billion company on the button, same as Ionq, but they have actual revenue, $1.5 billion. They're in the whole fuel cell on-site power generation business. So it looks great. I still think this looks great. I mean, look at the candle today, by the way, 73.5. They closed at 7 cents off the high, and this thing's been standing room only to buy since July 24th. That's absolutely astronomical. So I'm not going to be the first to say it stops here. This probably has a continuation of the next week. I'd rather be like, it sounds crazy, but I'd rather almost be in the common than the options in this, because you have to manage the options. You have call spreads and stuff like this. And this the chart looks great. It looks like it's going to continue. I personally would not chase it above just right here. The flows look absolutely great. They have strong candles here since that July mark as well, meaning that 3:30 to 4 o'clock hour, you have really nice, very small wicks on the bottom of many candles. Very nice closes. Look at that stochastic momentum. It's just an absolute star on the treadmill, honestly, since August 1st. Since this earnings estimate, it basically confirmed what everyone knows. And people say up, open, away. I would almost have to wait and see, what the next earnings is. And that's going to be, I guess, on Halloween. So something to look forward to in Bloom. I personally want to chase it, like I said, above 63. It just is a little bit much for me. And just look at how extended it is away, too, from the moving averages through the course of its history. I know it's a new story, but I personally don't want to chase here. It probably does go higher short term, though, given the strength of that candle, maybe 75, 76. Then later, it'll probably maybe get to about $57-ish, and that's where I'd rather be. Monster week, though. Bloom Energy up 32% in the past 5 days, or an average of 6-ish%. Also a new all-time high today, like Ionq. And then the other one, third best stock you could bid in, and this was all the rage a couple days ago, is Oracle. I just want to take a look at this chart. We were talking about that gap being filled, going back to the earnings gap, but it does not look the case, right? So I still think, so this is what happened. We hit 346, I'm rounding for simplicity's sake, when that monster news came out on earnings. The stock rocketed up 36%. And then we had said, frankly, this was going to try and get to like I said, about 260. And then the stock went from, like I said, from 345, it went to 292, and then it put a bit of a button in it there, and then now a big doji up 1.5% day. We're at 308 in the stock. Now what? I still rather not chase this one for 2-ish weeks. I think this one is still headed to about 265. I don't see a ton in me that's changed. Maybe it happens just during the Powell speech. Who knows? But this looks to me like it still does want to head towards 265. This one's all about your risk tolerance. You can buy puts. You can sell 310 calls. You can a lot of things you could do. You could short the stock, although I wouldn't do that in an all-time high market. Buying puts really doesn't play. You could sell some calls. Just be careful. Maybe probably buy something against it cheaper or a different time frame. All right, and then the losers of the past 5 days, they weren't all winners like the cloud computing and the fuel cell and AI stocks. There are some losers. The trade desk, the worst stock from actual stocks, not nonsense, that you could be in. And we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, and I said this is not, even though every squirrel gets a nut, I don't believe in this story. And I think, I'm trying to see where it was. It was after the earnings collapse. We basically said, I'm looking at this, September 3rd, I said this thing looks headed. Hold on, let me get it here. Boopity boopity bop. September 3rd, the massive earnings again. This thing collapsed 39% on August 8th. So it is trying to face its own reckoning, and it's oversold again here. 25 RSI with the actual lows coming April 7th with the SPY low at $43. It's very close. Now what? Down 1.4%. I think it actually bases, believe it or not. Could it take that out? Yeah, maybe. Also during like some Powell comments, but I don't think the absolute bottom gives way over the next 2 weeks. I think it probably bases, like I said, around 43. And then a dead cat balance probably gets it to about 51. And then overall, it goes lower. It does not look great. And it's had a nasty week. The worst stock in the market, down 14% over the past 5 days on an average of almost 3% a day. Makes me think nothing different in an all-time high market that this thing continues to be oversold. Looks like there are still people that tried to get out of it on Valentine's Day on that first earnings crush, down 33%, oversold here. It is still oversold. There's still a line of people trying to sell this $22 billion media name. And I don't think that's ending anytime soon. Next, Chewy. I'm sorry, Rocco, if you're up there. We had also mentioned this name when we said it's probably going to have not such a fun time. Chewy's had the second worst stock week, and it peaked here back in June at 48.60, and it really is kind of dancing with the devil here. They had a bad earnings on September 10th, 6 days ago, down 17%, but it has had a decent-ish recovery. But I'm looking at the past 5 days, it's down 10%. They're a $15 billion company on $12 billion in revenue, so almost like a value trap here. I think I think that was the test here, and the investors stepped in at $34 with a rising 200 moving average. It closed above it today, 37.5. It hasn't been able to do that since before earnings. I like this one. Finally, maybe a setup here. Be careful if you need some delta in the market that kind of is uncorrelated, in terms of specialty retail. I think this looks good to a move. It's not going to be easy, but I do think this heads towards about $40 over the next 2-ish weeks. It's probably going to be frustrating, maybe by the 39 calls in October, see if they're liquid, but there's worse places you can be in. I think this just go higher. Ultimately, you want it to get back to $48, but I do think this has a decent-ish 2-week move. Love to see these moving averages start to curl up or at least stabilize. This still is, and that's the bottom line, the 200-day, and that's why I'm trusting this. And this is why I closed the video with when I highlighted this 2 weeks ago. If you've had less than, I don't know, didn't do it there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If you have less than 2 weeks of a rising of closes under a rising 200-day moving average, I'll forgive you. You can bring home, a C on a paper or an F. That's okay. You've been giving, a lot over the year. So I still trust in the name and the story. That goes out to you, Rocco. I think there's some long trades for Chewy. Nasty week, though. Down 10%. We're an average of 2% a day. Today, reversing that trend a bit, up 3 1/3%. And then another name has not got the crap kicked out of it, but it has not looked good off of their highs. This is Boston Scientific, coming off of an all-time high there. Ugly rejection, though, at 109.5. They sent that thing buckling all the way to the 200-day. That's absolutely astonishing. Look at this crazy chart. It's like a painting to me. It's like one of those Bob Rosses. This stock had done nothing since their earnings report back in February. Okay, the stock had been, when I say nothing, I mean it's been stuck between 110 and 98 since February. It hit all-time high, went to that 109.5. Oh, are we ready? And then right now it goes all the way down to 99. That's absolutely just amazing to me. So now what? That's crazy. And for those who don't know, this is healthcare equipment. We were doing a feature when we did the ETS the other day about medical devices, thinking that they hang in here, and it's actually not a bad place. Let me see if that corroborates with this. This is a massive company, $150 billion market cap. Stock doesn't look great, but I do think par or 100. I know it gave up the ghost today, but again, look at this. Didn't close done under 200-day here, and now it's done at 2 days, and now it's oversold for the first time. I definitely don't like the vibes I'm getting from a previous superstar that was overbought for, I don't know, January through February. So, I mean, this thing has a absolutely amazing track record, but I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. I think the entry, this is interesting too. I do not like healthcare. I don't think it's going to pay you. It's like value. There's better places you can be in, but I'm looking at this chart. This, I do believe, will get to 105 over the next 2-ish weeks by the end of September. This looks like it'll go to 105. You could buy maybe the 102 calls, check if they're liquid for October. You do the 102, 110 call spread, knowing that that's a level of resistance. There's a couple things you could do here. You could sell these puts. I don't think it's going to pay you a ton, but you could look at that. But I like the floor there at 98. I don't think that's going to give. And I think 105 is destined for this. Third worst place, though, after Trade Desk, Chewy, is Boston Scientific, down 8% or almost 2% a day. All right. Lastly, top 3 trades of the past 52 weeks. We have a brand new entry. Number 1, year over year, the return is absolutely staggering. I have to make sure I can read it right. This is Rigetti Computing. We have not included in the past because it did not fulfill that $20 a year. Back in January, it touched $21 for just a split second. I am using the most up-to-the-date and up-to-the-second technical analysis, and now we're just basically, I adjusted it basically. It's 1993. I forgave that by 7 cents, and I said this should be back on our radars. I already know a lot of traders trade Rigetti. This is a quantum name as well. In terms of the size, they're $6 billion, so about half the size of an Ionq, and they're pretty much no revenue either, $8 million. So they're just still effing around and finding out, honestly. So here's Rigetti. Like I said, they peaked back in Jan at 2140. It's a catch-up trade market. Everyone wants to know what's the next big thing. I would not chase this here, honestly, above $19. You look at the top shadows here on these wicks here, got rejected at 20.1, and then now it's trying to do better. It doesn't give me super warm fuzzies. It might go a little bit higher and get that new high, but to me, it looks like the gravity wants to pull this towards, honestly, about 17 even. So for me, that's $2.50, almost $3 of risk. There's a better setup somewhere else. But this is your year-over-year leader. Just to put numbers to that, last September this was 77 cents. Today it's $20, and that's why it's your leader in the stock market. Once again, Rigetti is your year-over-year leader. That's 2,348%. From the VWAP that day was, let me just go in here, boopity bop, 3 million shares that day. It was 74 cents close and VWAP. And it is today $19.93. And that's how you make money in the stock market. Number 2, very similar space, also quantum computing, is OKLO. Very different returns, though. Only 1,400%. But that baby is going to new highs as we speak right here, right now. It did touch 96.99. We'll call it 97. And then they sold it off a little bit to 95.41 close. This one is overbought. Looks absolutely just stupendous. OKLO up 1,400% year over year. Again, we'll personally not chase this here. If you get some catalyst and volatility during Powell or something like that, and for some reason, that's why we always go through levels. And for some reason, this should send it. Let's say it goes back to $75, 20 points. It could do it for a name like this. That would be your invitation to get in. All right, so that's OKLO up 1,400%. And then the other one, there's almost like getting spliced. The next one is Ionq up 700%, or half the returns of OKLO. It's absolutely staggering. So that's just absolutely crazy. So Rigetti is up 3 times, a little bit 3 times more than Ionq is. And Ionq is up 700%. And I already told you my call on Ionq. Congratulations on the all-time high, riding it to here, a much better level. Again, if Powell says something wackadoo or the market doesn't like it, and this sends that to about $46. I know it's a monster move, but it was there 3 days ago, and it's a crazy volatile stock for a reason. But if it gets you there, I would get it. These are the year-over-year leaders. If you only own, you don't have to have your whole portfolio in Rigetti, OKLO, and Ionq. Yes, they're computing stocks. Working on the AI story, and these are the flywheel that you want to be a part of. A Mag 7, quantum computing, crypto, Bitcoin. You have a little bit of all that. You're going to be golden into the end of 2025. I will see you guys later for an ETF wrap up, my end of week, and I will see y'all there later. Peace.